Jay is a serial entrepreneur, business coach, and mastermind guru with 30 years of experience starting, buying, and selling seven-figure businesses. Jay's story includes losing everything after the 2010 financial crisis and rising from the shame to shine as the Mastermind Guy. Jay helps coaches and experts with their programs, Mastermind Mastery, Create and Fill Your High-End Mastermind, and in 60 days, and the Six Figure Masterminds Bootcamp. So we are going to be talking with Jay in just a minute and learn how to unlock impactful revenue and transform lives. So with that said, I'm going to bring Jay on screen because, hey there, Jay.
Hi, John. How are you? Good to be here.
Yeah. I always love it when you can be here. And as I said, I've been through a lot of your programs and, done the assessments and everything else. And so I'm very excited about having you on board.
Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it.
Well, you are the Mastermind Guy.
Yeah. So, my story is, involves 25 years of being in masterminds. I have been a serial entrepreneur for 30 years, but I wasn't smart enough the first 5 years I was in business. Really, I didn't know about masterminds. I had no clue. So I got started in it because I had my first business. I was quite lucky. I grew it to $1 million in revenue pretty quickly. And I got stuck there. I couldn't seem to get beyond the $1 million range. And I joined an organization called the Young Entrepreneurs Organization and got put into my very first mastermind with other entrepreneurs. And we joined that mastermind just to grow our businesses and become better entrepreneurs. But what totally shocked me and amazed me is that within 5 or 6 months in our mastermind meetings, I'm starting to watch grown men cry as they start to open up and reveal their messed up marriages and their kid problems and how the business is causing them depression and anxiety. And we just got to levels of human connection that I had not experienced as an adult. So I was hooked. I was all in, and I started joining every mastermind I could, and then I started facilitating and creating them. So it's been a long journey for me, and masterminds have been an important part of my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you had to come back and redevelop all of that, after the financial crisis and everything. And I remember that you kind of went from that million to another aspect of it. It's like we all experience ups and downs. So.
Yeah. So what happened to me is largely as a result of being in all those masterminds with the other entrepreneurs. That first business, I grew it to 200 employees and about 10 million in annual revenue.
Wow.
And I sold the business in 2004 and life was pretty good. I traveled a lot. I
was just going to say, I remember you talking about this.
Yeah. I bought 3 other businesses. I made investments in lots of different things. And then in 2008, the world financial crisis started. Mm-hmm. And by 2012, so over the next few years, I lost everything. Mm-hmm. So I quite literally went from being a multimillionaire living in a mansion to living in my friend's basement, broke, bankrupt, divorced, alone, ashamed, and just, dealing with that complete loss of identity because I had for 15 years built this identity as this really successful serial entrepreneur. Suddenly I had nothing. So I was through that difficult time, I was in a couple of masterminds, but one particular, which I actually ended up in for 17 years in the same mastermind. Those people helped me through. I wouldn't be here today without those people. It went way beyond a basement to live in and a car that I could drive for months until I could kind of rebuild. I can't even articulate how they supported me, but it was, it's like having a family. When you create that kind of magic in a mastermind that is ongoing and lasts a long time like that, those relationships were, I was closer to some of those people than my own family.
Yeah.
So there I was in the basement, ashamed. And so I lived in the basement for 5 months.
5 years. It just seemed like 5 years, right, Jay?
Exactly. It was mentally more like 5 years.
Yeah.
I wish I had one of these stories to say, yeah, I bounced right back. And, within 6 months, I had another business and I was up and running. No, I really suffered and did not deal with that well. And it took me a long time to crawl my way out of that basement and kind of put myself back out there and hang my shingle again and that kind of thing. So, when I came into this universe of helping coaches and speakers and healers and thought leaders, it was a natural for me to help with masterminds.
And you did that for a long time with entrepreneurs, right? In one of your groups, I remember that you set up and that you worked with a lot of entrepreneurs right off the bat. And that was through the masterminds, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've been in, easily double-digit masterminds just of my own or as a participant and ones I've created and facilitated. I run 3 right now. Okay. I can have impact in running 3 masterminds, but I want to have a greater impact than that. And I want other people to share the experience that I had, carrying me through the most difficult period of my life.
Yeah.
And it's really about people building those relationships and deepening those human connections. Because that's what we need right now in the world. Like, we need that a lot more than we need more content and more training, more gurus telling us what to do.
Yeah, wasn't there? Trying to remember back. There was, I think it was called. Somebody remarked about it being. The loan.
Sorry, I lost you for a second here. I think.
There we go. Okay, an epidemic of loneliness because of that lack of connection, and it was exacerbated by the pandemic.
Absolutely. And so the U.S. Surgeon General in 2023 declared an epidemic of loneliness in the U.S. But then just in the last few months, the World Health Organization has created an entire commission to study the global crisis of social isolation and loneliness. So this is a worldwide issue.
Yeah.
And, it's when you hear it, it makes sense. And even beyond the pandemic, I mean, you probably heard the term digital disconnection, which is you go out in public and there's a bunch of friends sitting around a table all buried in their cell phones, not talking to each other, right?
And I have to admit that I have occasionally been guilty of that. So, and it doesn't work. You need people in your life.
Yeah. And that's so. In the world of coaches and speakers and experts and thought leaders, most of us are doing what we're doing because we want to help people, not just because we're interested in selling stuff.
Right.
We want to help people. So in this world, often we're taught like, okay, we'll create like a little video course and then create like a course you teach live and then create maybe a group coaching program.
Right.
But in all of those different scenarios, the emphasis is on me talking at you, me teaching you what I know, me training you on my expertise.
Yeah.
And you being, at most, Q&A and maybe a hot seat every once in a while. But there's no relationship building for the people going through the programs. The only relationship they have in those types of programs is with the guru or expert who's leading it.
Right.
So the idea with a mastermind is we spread the wealth. You intentionally develop the relationships for people going through your programs so that they feel like they have support, they have people to collaborate with, they have people to co-create with. That's, the thing that gets people excited. And there's so many little ways that you can notice this. Like if you've ever gone to like networking meetings and, they're in this big, huge Zoom room or in a big, huge room and then they break you into like breakout rooms or little pods where you talk and get to actually, if you watch the energy in the room as a whole, whether it's online or in person, you watch the energy before people go into those breakout rooms or little pods and versus when they come out. And you can, I mean, it's plain as day. Like people come out of that and there's like it's like electric. It's entirely different energy in the room.
Isn't that interesting?
Making connections. It's that human connection piece.
Yeah. And I know Jay, because full disclosure here, folks, I happen to be in one of Jay's masterminds called the Purple Fish Mastermind. And I wonder if you could tell the Purple Fish story for us, Jay.
Wow. Do we have time for the Purple Fish story?
Yeah. Let's talk about the purple fish.
Okay. So the purple fish story, the framework for it is that when we start out as a coach or expert or healer, and we go out and put ourselves out there and we start trying to find clients, most of us, it's kind of like driving a boat into the ocean and dropping a line. We know in that vast sea that we're trolling in that there are millions of fish in there, but we don't know where to find them. And we think just by dropping a line in the water, we are not even sure what bait we're using.
Yeah.
So then you add to that once we really get out there in that world of coaching, or, like I always say, as soon as you hang the word coach on your LinkedIn profile, you start to realize how many other coaches there are out there and people trying to sell to coaches, tell you how to run a coaching business, right? So now you're talking hundreds of thousands of fishing boats in the ocean. There's millions of coaches out there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the analogy I use is that if you had a kid and you wanted to take them fishing for the first time, you wouldn't just drive a boat into the ocean and drop a line, right?
Yeah.
Kid would get bored. You might, troll for days and not catch anything. I mean, at the very least, you'd hire an expert captain fisherman to drive into the ocean maybe and improve your luck. So, no, if you had a kid, you would find a stocked pond and take them to the pond fishing so that you're going to catch something quickly and make your kid happy.
Right.
So the purple fish story is that I have two kids. And so I have a girl and a boy. And when my son was 6 years old, if I had gone to him and said, hey, buddy, I want to take you fishing for the first time, what kind of fish would you like to catch? And he was like all boy kid. And he would have said, like, I want all the fish, Dad. I want ones. And I would have laughed and, thought, I know some coaches who think but my daughter, on the other hand, she was pretty much all girl when she was little. And if I had gone to her and said, sweetie, I want to take you fishing for the first time, what kind of fish would you like to catch? And she would have looked up at me and batted her big brown eyes and said, Daddy, can we catch a purple fish? Because, of course, her favorite color was purple. And still is. And I would have said, thought, okay, purple fish, like, is that even a thing? How do I catch purple fish? So what I would do? I'd do market research, right? And say, because I got to make my daughter happy, like she batted her big brown eyes, I'm not going to disappoint her. So I would have gone, I'd go to Google and I'd say, Google, what do purple fish eat? How can I catch a purple fish? And Google would say, well, you've got to find a pond stocked with purple fish. Great. What do they eat? And Google would have said they eat purple worms. And now that's actually a thing. There are purple worms.
Oh, are they real?
And so if I was smart, what I would have done at that point is gone to the store and bought a purple fish and put it in a bowl and brought it home and win Father of the Day.
Yeah.
But no, damn it, I'm an entrepreneur. So I go to the fish store to buy my purple worms. Sure enough, they have them. And while I'm there, I see all kinds of other, fancy baits and fishing rods. And here at the end of the aisle is this $300 fishing rod. I've already got a fishing rod, right? But here's a $300 fishing rod. And it says it's specially designed to catch brightly colored fish. Well, okay, I can't afford that $300 ride, but I'm going to buy it because I don't want to disappoint my daughter.
Yeah.
So I get my $300 rod and my purple worms, and I go home and I pack my daughter up, and we all go off to find the stocked pond that Google told us where it was that includes purple fish. So we're walking through the field and we come up upon the crest of the hill and we see the pond beneath us. And what do I see but like 50 other dads standing around the pond with their daughters fishing in the same pond. And as I got closer to the pond, I noticed that some of them even have purple worms. But I'm not deterred. I'm going to win Father of the Year. I'm going to cast further, fish faster, use my super fancy rod. I'm sure I can catch my daughter a purple fish. Yeah. So we start fishing and I'm, casting and reeling and casting, and I start catching some fish. I catch a goldfish and a green fish and a catfish, which is okay. They pay the bills too. Mm-hmm. But we haven't caught that purple fish. And I'm keep trying. And while I'm sitting there casting, I feel this tug at my shoulder. And I look down and my daughter looks up at me and she says, "Daddy, do you think we could catch a striped purple fish?" And I'm like, oh my God, striped. I haven't even caught a purple fish yet. Now she wants a striped purple fish. So I fortunately have my phone in my pocket, and I pull it out. I know that this is a task far too great for Google. And I pull up ChatGPT and I say, "ChatGPT, how do I catch a striped purple fish?" And ChatGPT tells me it's simple. I just need to write special marketing messages that appeal to the striped purple fish that will attract them. And all I need to do is to download those messages into the purple worms that will transmit those messages into the water and attract the striped purple fish.
That is so cool.
Well, I happen to have a USB cord in my pocket, so I plug my phone in, and sure enough, those purple worms have a USB port. And I download those messages that ChatGPT helped me write into the purple worms. And I cast into the water. As I'm doing that, I look down and I notice my daughter has the fishing net that we brought. It is like perched in the water. I'm afraid it's going to fall in. I'm like, "Sweetie, keep your eye on that net. I want it to fall lose it in the pond, because I am going to catch you that striped purple fish." So I'm fishing and I catch some more fish. I catch a purple one and she's pretty happy, but I still haven't caught that striped purple fish. Mm-hmm. So I'm fishing harder. I throw out the $300 rod and go back to my old 20-year-old rod and get it out, and maybe this will help. And I'm casting further and casting harder, and the sun's starting to go down. And I feel this tug at my shirt. And I look down and my daughter is standing there and she holds up the fishing net. And there is a striped purple fish in the net. Yeah. I said, "Sweetie, how did that happen?" She said, "Well, Daddy, I just put some of the worms with the messages, fancy messages, into the net and set it in the water. And the purple fish just swam into the net."
Oh, how great is that?
So obviously I won Father of the Year, caught the striped purple fish, caught some purple fish. My daughter was thrilled.
Yeah.
So the moral of the purple fish story, obviously I'm talking about niche and avatar. Mm-hmm. Right? The niche is the stocked pond. Mm-hmm. Most of us fish in the ocean. We try to appeal to everybody because, I said it earlier, we're trying to help people, right? And then most of us who have an expertise, a gift, whatever it is, we feel like we can help almost anyone.
Yeah.
So often we're targeting the whole ocean, hoping to find clients. Mm-hmm. Instead of fishing, really understanding where our fish are and fishing in the stock pond. Mm-hmm. Now, the stock pond, of course, had many other types of fish in it, not just purple fish, not just striped purple fish. And I even caught some of them, which is very much what happens when we put out courses and group coaching programs, mm-hmm. and maybe some one-on-one clients. We attract goldfish and greenfish and catfish. They aren't necessarily our ideal client. Mm-hmm. Too. But when we focus on our marketing, speaking with our messages to our striped purple fish, our ideal client avatar, then they come towards us, because that ideal client avatar, the striped purple fish or the purple fish swimming by, seeing or hearing our marketing messages, stop and say, "Wait a minute, he's talking to me. I've got 8,000 messages a day swimming by me, in the water. Yeah. But I heard this one message that is speaking just to purple fish, and it stopped me in my swimming tracks, mm-hmm. and made me attention and drew me toward you. So the concept is that niche and avatar is important for everything we do in business. But when we're talking about masterminds, when we're talking about high-end clients, clients who will pay what we're worth to hang out with us, to learn from us, to grow with us, those clients need to be purple fish and striped purple fish. So in a mastermind group, which is usually a small group, right? There's sort of hybrid programs that you can create if you want to get 20, 30, 50. But in a true mastermind, it's usually a smaller group. It's important that everybody in the group has similarities and common fears and aspirations and goals and common fears, challenges, frustrations. And it's putting together that little fishbowl of people that are purple fish. That's how you create a mastermind. That's how you create a high-end program that can generate 6 figures for your business just with one program and a handful of people.
Yeah, and that's just so interesting. And Jay, you asked me a question one time because I've been through your boot camp a couple of times, and you asked me the first time, who would I love to wake up in the morning? Who would excite me? To wake up in the morning and think, oh boy, I get to hang out with so-and-so. And the first few times I went through and you asked that, I couldn't think of it. And then I went through it one more time and you asked that, and I immediately went, oh, these 3 women I know, and they're all, and they're all over 70, and they're all, going through all these different things. And I realized, oh my gosh, those are the people that I want to serve. Those are the people that I would have in a mastermind, because you have to feel joy too, I think, and you have to foster that camaraderie and that support and all those things. And you said something else one time that really, really I take very seriously, and that was that a mastermind is confidential. You do not go out of the mastermind and talk to other people about what's happening in your mastermind, because I think that pretty much can destroy one, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It destroyed one that I was in years ago. I had a local in-person mastermind, and we had been together a couple of years at that point. And we decided to have a holiday party and invite our spouses and significant others so that they could meet the people that we were hanging out with in this mastermind group all the time. And at that holiday party, one spouse went up to another and said, I'm so sorry to hear about such and such. And it was a major breach of confidentiality within the mastermind that should not have been shared with, the one member spouse. And it literally, like at that point, those 2 members, clearly had an immediate issue with each other. And then people started taking sides, and the mastermind fell apart a couple of months later and dissolved because of that one breach of confidentiality. Yeah, it's the whole magic to masterminding is when you get people to open up at deeper levels and be vulnerable and show up as who they really are without sort of the masks that we typically wear in public or in society, in groups and in programs. So one of the ways that I express it is that most of the people we have relationships with in life have an agenda. Our family has an agenda.
Yeah. Our
friends have agendas. Our coworkers have agendas. Our bosses, et cetera. Yeah. Even our coaches have agendas. Right? Oh, yeah. And the idea of putting people together in a group in a mastermind is that the only agenda is it to help and support each other and thrive as human beings and grow towards whatever that common purpose is that everybody's aspiring to, right? So there should be similarities between those people. What you want at the end of mastermind meetings is people thinking, oh my God, these people are exactly like me. They're thinking the same things. They have the same problems. And in that way, that sort of no agenda container, that's where things, you have discussions that, I have literally been shocked in mastermind meetings with some of the discussions that we've gotten into that I'm thinking, like, never in my life would I thought I would be in a room with people discussing this issue. Like, because it's so private and so deep and so personal. And, that takes a while to get there, and you have to know how to set up that container to allow that kind of thing to flourish. But when it does, that's the magic that can occur in masterminds. That's what will carry you through a period like it did for me in my life when, I didn't have much else to carry me.
Yeah, and that support is something that we all need and to thrive. And I remember, like I said, going through the boot camp for the first time and filling out. There was an assessment that we did, and I did it 2 more times because it was waking me up. Like, oh dear, here's where I am. But as I did it, then I realized, that the assessment was so powerful with me, and being able to see where I was right then in my business and in this process. And it was really, really powerful. But since then, what I've come to understand too is that, you're the mastermind guy, but you deal with hybrid programs and other high ticket programs too, that we don't all have to do a pure mastermind as you would. We can do a combination, a hybrid.
Yeah, there are many different kinds of masterminds and my, one of my pet peeves in the expert authority thought leader industry is somebody who goes out and finds one way to do something and just says, and they're really successful with it. And then they just teach people, like, do exactly what I did.
Yeah, I've been in those.
Like, you shouldn't create my mastermind or anyone else's mastermind. The part of the process is, it's like putting pieces of a puzzle together. You need to figure out and align your superpowers with what your clients really want and need, and create a container that allows for both to serve in the highest purpose. Yeah. And you mentioned the idea of waking up in the morning excited. So one of the common flaws and problems that we get into, a trap, so to speak, when you start a coaching business or entrepreneur business, is we kind of go, okay, I've got all this experience and expertise, right? I've got 25 years doing this. So what we do is we approach it from the standpoint of, okay, what program can I create that people will buy? Because we got to make a living, and there's nothing wrong with making a living. Right. But what I challenge people to do is shift that perspective. Figure out who your purple fish are, because those are the people you're going to wake up in the morning excited to hang out with and work and help. And you love them, they love you. So instead of thinking of like, okay, well, I could create this kind of program, maybe people will buy that, or I can, this guru told me to do it this way, and this guru told me to create this kind of program. It's like, throw all that away. Focus on who your purple fish are, and then build a program that is going to attract them and feed them in the best possible way. Because then everything else can fall into place later. Another trap we get into is people are told, you have to have this low-end program, and then a course, and then a group coaching, and then maybe eventually when you're big enough, you can have a high-end mastermind. Well, I know people who have high-end masterminds as their only product offering or thing they offer, and have built like multi-six-figure businesses that way. You don't have to have all those little steps, but you have to be really good at knowing who your purple fish are, and you have to have a high-touch process to get them, to engage with them. So, that's why I say in some of my things that you don't need a big list or a fancy sales funnel. It's almost going a little bit old school. Yeah. Talk to people.
There's an idea.
Build relationships with them. Get them to the point where they want to hang out with you and some other really cool people that you're going to hand select and curate and invite into your exclusive mastermind. And that's another point that I'll emphasize, is one of the beauties of this is that when you have a high-end program like this, you can move away from constantly feeling like you're chasing clients, right? Fish faster, fish cast further. Right?
Keep offering that course.
Yeah. It's almost like you become the gatekeeper, like who you're going to let in. And so I, encourage people that have mastermind, you should have an application process where people have to complete it. You can't just put a credit card on a form and join.
Right.
You have to complete a application and jump on a call with me so I can make sure you're the right fit. You never want in a mastermind someone to be any of the members to look at one or two of the members and go like, why did you let them into the group? They don't seem to, right? So the idea is that you become the gatekeeper, and it's like, no, well, first tell me what value that you can bring to the group, and how committed are you to contributing to the group and helping the group grow and evolve and thrive, right? That's the people you want to work with anyway, not the people who just kind of sit and lurk in your programs. I say there's two things you don't want in a mastermind: lurkers and narcissists.
Yeah.
So, masterminds, you want people to, approach it from the attitude of, I'm going to give as much as I take. And what, if I do that, then what I get back is exponential in terms of impact.
So it's the combination, as you said, of the recurring revenue that you get with, a mastermind or a high-end program, and then the impact you can make on others. And I think most of us in coaching or, any of those kinds of fields, that's what we want to do. We don't want to go through life and not make an impact. We want other people to grow with us, and then they can grow in whatever they're doing too. So, that's one of the things that we've talked a lot about, Jay, because, I have a 6-week course, and I offer that, but I offer it for free now, because it goes with another program. And so people can get in, and once they take that course, they can take it as many times as they want. But what I really want to do is sell that program by that's not what I want to make. What I really want to do is create that recurring revenue, so I don't have to run out and chase all these people with my course, and just offer a program that goes a lot, satisfies it a lot more. And it's had a tremendous effect on me and how I look at things. And when we both had the same mentor, Mastermind Guy, and I know he has told us over and over again that we want to make an impact in the world. We want to really, really change lives if we possibly can. And I think that's a piece of what brings us into these programs, is that we really want to be able to develop, that growth in everyone. And you've absolutely taught me that, and helped me understand that. In fact, I've turned to you a number of times and asked you to help me figure something out. And since I've been in your mastermind, I really have narrowed my focus and who I'm targeting for my programs. And I know that I don't have to go out and do mass selling. All I have to do is find those 9 or 10 people that I can start off with. So it's a growth process for us too.
Yeah.
As we're learning it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I just was talking to one of my clients yesterday, and she out of the blue said, I'm here. And I'm like, you're here where? Like, what do you mean here? She said, I'm where you said I'd be. And I said, what is that? And she said, on the days that I have my mastermind meetings, I literally jump out of bed. Like, those are the days I'm most excited, because these are the people I'm most excited to work with and help.
Yeah.
And we're all in this together, and we're all loving each other. And so it was really a nice validation of exactly what I talk about, is that, it's who you want to work with, not just who can write a check.
Absolutely. And we've all been at times we've all chased the mighty dollar at times. But if you're selling a 6-week course for $497 and you have another much higher program, that's more high end, you don't have to chase people as much. You can find the people that you really want to include in your programs. And that's so important, because I always thought that, I've got to have this big audience. And over time, as I've started looking at things, that narrows and that narrows and that perspective narrows. You know, I now, and I'll tell everyone, I've been talking to Jay about starting a mastermind for women over 70, you know, and when I first started, I said women over 60, but then I went on the marketers cruise and there were all these women in their 70s and 80s on there who were just knocking it, you know, I mean, they were just trucking it. And I said, okay, well, you know, I'm not in my 60s, I'm in my 70s. And those are the people that I want to work with, because your issues when you're 60 are very different than your issues at 70. You know, it's a whole different mindset.
It's a perfect example of purple fish, and even narrowing to striped purple fish.
Mm-hmm.
And you know this already, but I totally applaud you for planting your flag and doubling down on that. You know, create that program, because, you know, women over 70 who are badasses, who are, you know, out to help it make it, you know, for your last chapters, make a big impact.
Yeah.
Like, that's a rare fish right there. Mm-hmm. That's a striped purple fish.
Yeah.
And when you find them, and the reason and the way you find them is by creating marketing messages that stop them in their swimming tracks and they pay attention, meaning they find you at that point. Then you put them all together in a group. It's like, oh my God, like it's just a great example of the striped purple fish aquarium mastermind.
Yeah, it was so eye-opening for me, you know, to experience this.
I want to, if we have a couple minutes left, I want to clarify one thing for people who could, because you might be thinking that there's a disconnect between this idea of I want to make a bigger impact and I want to hang out with 10 striped purple fish, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's like, wait a minute, that's only 10 people I'm impacting. So here's the sort of rationale, and it relates to what you were saying earlier about having the course or these low-end programs. Mm-hmm. So if you have a $1,500 course or a $1,500 coaching package, you need 67 clients to reach 6 figures in revenue. And getting 67 of anything is hard, let alone clients, right? Typically, to get 67 clients, you need hundreds, possibly thousands of people coming into your funnel. You need that fancy sales funnel. You need this, process, right, to get them to even buy that $1,500 program. And there's expense and time, right?
Oh, yeah.
Versus 9 people paying you $1,000 a month is a 6-figure business.
Yeah.
Now, here's where it gets to the point where you talk about impact. I would rather create 6 figures with 9 people. Then if I want to make a bigger impact, I use some of those funds and maybe the next 6 figures beyond the first 6, and I reinvest them into building my audience. And then I'm going to build my lower end programs so that I can have that wider impact, eventually leading to more striped purple fish on the other end. But I would rather do it in that order. So many people, it's really sad. I mean, I've seen so many people, coaches, healers, speakers, give up. They spent 6 months, 18 months. I've seen some people do it for more than a couple of years, spinning their wheels, going one guru to one shiny object to the other, one strategy to the other. They've got courses, they've got low-end programs, they've got challenges, but they've never made any real money.
Yeah.
Never been paid what they're worth.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have that high-end program, or somebody told them to create a high-end program and they failed with it because they were trying to sell the high-end program to the entire ocean.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So to me, it's like create the business that create create this group of people you have, love to work with and love to wake up and help, who are also fueling your business and creating sustainable recurring revenue.
Yeah.
Then you want to expand and blow up your audience and have a bigger impact. God bless you.
Yeah. And that really was an eye opener for me, Jay, to understand that, because I had been doing those things you're talking about right now and spinning my wheels. And it was more than a couple of years that I spun my wheels, because I did follow this guru and this one, the system that sounded great, but it really wasn't helping me develop my own system and from my own point of view. And
I'm not immune. Like, I'm not smarter than anyone else. I did the same thing. I spent a year spinning my wheels, doing what I was told, creating courses, creating funnels, creating lead magnets, right? And it wasn't until I added my high-end program, and as soon as I did, I blasted past 6 figures in revenue. And
I remember that, your first idea for a mastermind was around sales, wasn't it? Something, yeah. And then you all of a sudden realized, oh my gosh, I'm the mastermind guy. This is what I want to do. And it was just so profound.
Yeah. And I wasn't focused on my purple fish.
Yeah. And I was thinking that maybe I could hook a purple fish to the ceiling here and have one drop down like who was it, Groucho Marx, who had this rubber chicken or something that came down. But purple fish is a good way to talk about it. And I believe everyone in our mastermind is working towards the same things. So I know that you have a boot camp coming up.
I do. I have in April 4th through the 6th. It's a 3-day event. This is my favorite thing that I do. And I'm not even somebody who is a huge fan of 3-day events, but this is, you've been to it. So this has been transformational for so many people that have come through it.
Yeah.
And in these 3 days, we help you conceive of the type of mastermind that you can create, and one that's customizable and suitable for you and takes advantage of your superpowers, not my mastermind.
Yeah.
Then we work on identifying who these purple fish are, and we start working on some language to start speaking to them and attracting them. Mm-hmm. And then we create a vision and a plan for you to take the next steps out of the 3-day event for working towards launching the program. So we've had everything from people coming out of that 3-day event and going, boom, I'm off. Like I got the idea. I know who the people are. I've got enough of them to call, to find 9. I'm going. To coming out of the event going, kind of like that last analogy that I said, like, I'm not sure I'm ready yet. I need to get a couple other things in place, but now I know where I'm going, right? Mm-hmm. Now I have like a roadmap.
Yeah.
And I know that when I create all my marketing materials to talk to that high-end program, to talk to your purple fish, then all the decisions I make along the way become easier, because I can say to every time I have a decision to make, I can say, well, does this help me find and get my purple fish and create that high-end program and create 6 figures revenue? No? Okay. I'm passing that by, and I'm going to focus on the stuff that's going to get me to that end. And, that I can always come back to the other stuff later.
Yeah. And that boot camp, going through that experience has just been, like I said, I repeated it a couple of times. Because I couldn't identify my purple fish, and it's just been eye-opening for me. And I think I have I have a link here that I can put in for the mastermind, and wait a second, no, for the boot camp. I'm sorry.
So there's the boot camp on April for the 6th. But if you are listen to this and you have want to sort of find out a little bit more before you jump in for the 3 days. Mm-hmm. I put a link for you as I was coming in. I'm doing a masterclass tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm actually doing one tomorrow and one next week. The same link will work for both. And it's really just sort of, talking more about the different kinds of masterminds, the difference between group coaching and masterminds, and maybe a little more about the purple fish.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So we have the April boot camp, and then this one is when the thing.
I've got the master one is tomorrow. The master class.
Okay, right. That's what I saw.
Yeah. So that's the other link, and so either way, it's really the master class for somebody who's like not ready to just jump in and commit to 3 days. Mm-hmm. Find out a little bit more and get a little bit more detail from what we talked about today.
Okay, great, Jay. I really want to thank you for being here. And we're launching the Dumont Digital Marketing Hour on LinkedIn. So I certainly hope that you will speak there too. Folks, Jay's will be highlighted in the app, as one of our experts. And so you can certainly, download all that stuff there. But I really urge you to take advantage of these two programs because they really are an eye opener. So Jay, did you say you put it in, or do you want me to put it in? I've got.
Yeah, I gave it to Rusty.
Oh, Rusty has it. Okay. Okay. So we will make sure that it gets in there.
Okay.
So listen, I cannot thank you enough because this is such an eye opener. And when I think back to when we met at a mastermind conference and I heard their pitch, and then I'm just talking to you over dinner or something, I went, oh, this makes a lot more sense. So I turned down that big expensive, I think it was like really expensive, but it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. And, the individual attention you pay to us and you teach us through the group dynamics and through modeling for us and all these different aspects that are really incredible. So I really encourage people to come to the masterclass and the boot camp. So Jay, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm always happy to have you on board because you get such great information and your programs are amazing. So thank you very much, my friend.
Thanks, Dumont.